Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as we get a very significant update from Marcel Brands, who is the Director of Football for PSV, specifically talking about Cody Gakpo and the chances of him leaving in January. So this is from, numero uno, or one, of PSV transfers really, and I think it was a chat with some sort of PSV forum. So very interesting what he said, demanding a record fee, which sounds a lot but may not be too much. So we'll talk about that, and also an update coming in from Fabrizio Romano about the prodigy. That's probably the word I'm looking for. Fire starter. Prodigy at Germany. Youssoufa Moukoko, I think his name is. Or Moukoko, and he is out of contract in the summer 2023. He's available for free. So he's given an update there, because there was a story late this morning that Manchester United and Chelsea had stolen a march on signing Moukoko, but on Manchester United. So interesting story, because he is available for free in the summer. So we'll talk about that. And we'll also talk about, what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the goalkeeping situation, because we have been linked to, Costa again as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Where shall we start? We will start off with the Cody Gakpo story, I think, because it's probably the most relevant one, even though Moukoko is quite interesting. So this is directly from the Director of Football for who am I trying? Yeah, the Director of Football of PSV, Marcel Brands, and he says, amounts have not been discussed, but if the right club comes that Cody would like to go to, those agreements were already made before I came. It must be a record transfer for PSV, then you know in which direction it should go. So basically, what he said is, you've got to be realistic. You've got to, the club has to be realistic. And he had a brilliant. I mean, I don't know what people think about Marcel Brands, but as a Director of Football, I quite like him. I mean, again, it's another club that has a Director of Football who communicates on the regular with the public. And this is quite a common theme in European football. We saw it, we saw it with Dortmund as well. And again, you've got a Director of Footballer who is really, communicative with his fans and the club. And he made a brilliant comment about Anthony, by the way. Don't forget me to remind me of that. Absolutely superb comment. Really mature and understanding comment about what happened with the Anthony transfer. But anyway, I digress. So he was asked about the Cody Gakpo chances of him going in January, and he said, "Look, you've got to be realistic, and that's the thing that underpins everything. But if in January, it's got to be the right offer. It's got to be a record offer, and the record deal for PSV was, I think, £43 million for Lozano when he went to Napoli back in 2019. So yeah, it's going to take more than 43 million quid to get him. But I think that when you've got the Director of Football at PSV talking openly about Gakpo is effectively for sale, like he's not sat there and gone, we're not selling Gakpo in January, and then they sell him in January for 50, 60 million. He's saying, there's an agreement in place before I came here that if the right offer comes in for Cody Gakpo, we'll let him go. So he did say there's no release clause or anything like that. There's no agreed fee that he can go for. But all he said is it has to be a record transfer fee, and they will be realistic if that happens and Gakpo wants to go. So effectively, if a club comes in with an offer of about 45 million and Gakpo wants to go, I think that deal will get done. And that's a major upset. I'm sorry, it's not a major upset. That's a major update in relation to the Cody Gakpo transfer saga. So there you go. That's from Marcel Brands. And what I really like, my favourite comment he said, he was asked about the transfer of Anthony for 85 million, inflating the market for potentially Cody Gakpo. And I mean, considering he is the Director of Football for PSV who would be looking to sell Gakpo and could maybe cash in on that, he said basically that transfer did not reflect market conformity. It didn't conform to basically the Anthony fee did not conform to a proper transfer market price. And he said what you had there was a desperate club and a manager that desperately wanted that player, and therefore that price was paid. And I was like, bloody hell, sign this guy up. I mean, I wouldn't give him a job based on that, but he's clearly not a bad director of football when he's saying, we're realistic, we want a record transfer fee for PSV, for Gakpo, and, £85 million doesn't reflect what we're looking for, because that wasn't a fee that reflected the market. That was a fee that reflected Manchester United's desperation, which it did. And I thought that, that's a really significant thing, because I and many others wanted Anthony, but we all know that transfer was horrific in relation to what we paid. Disgustingly too much. £30 million too much. Anthony should have gone for 55, nothing more. And we paid 85. But look, it's an interesting and intriguing and positive update about Gakpo. He's there to be bought in January. I think PSV would like to keep him till the summer, but they're open to the fact that there's clearly been a previous discussion there with the player. And if the right offer comes in from the right club, they will let him go and be realistic. And I don't think the offer needs to be 60, 70, 80 million, which some people have spoken about. I personally think it would be somewhere between 43 and 50. And that will probably get the deal done. Southampton almost signed him in the summer in relation to Gakpo. He's 35 million at best. Well, if they want the record transfer fee, then potentially they could get it, I suppose. This bad reputation has to be changed as IQ insane, and we've completely messed up the Eredivisie pricing. Sancho was sent to Netherlands to learn total football, says Michael, and I don't want Gakpo. We have Sancho, says Aiken. Completely go and do your homework. Like that you've just exposed yourself there. What's the situation with Dalot's injury, says Matthias, who's been a member for 7 months. Thank you, Matthias. I don't know what the situation with Dalot's injury is. I mean, no news could be good news, I suppose. But no, I don't know. Right, Calvin says Moukoko is a really good player. So let me give you the update on Moukoko. So this is basically there was a story around lunchtime. I forget where it was from, but basically said that Chelsea were leading the race to sign Moukoko from Dortmund ahead of Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano was then given, he has given his update where he says, on Moukoko deal, Dortmund still has a chance to extend his contract. Player has great relationships with the club, but timing is crucial. They've got to act within December with good proposals. English and Spanish clubs are ready to push in January if a new deal won't be agreed now. So, if you don't know much about Moukoko, he's not quite a free agent yet, Dragon, but his contract is up in 2023. Now, who is he? He's 18 years of age. I think he's scored a few goals for Dortmund, 6 in 14 or something like that. He did, correct me if I'm wrong, go to the World Cup for Germany as well. Really regarded as being, a top striker of the future. Hard to gauge where he's going to be. Is he going to be somebody like Erling Haaland? Or is he going to be somebody like, I'm trying to think of a decentish striker that's not Erling Haaland's level. Anthony Martial. Is he going to be like, which way is he going to go? And yeah, Martial's been underpinned by injury, but I think even if Anthony Martial had stayed fit, I don't think he would have been one of the best strikers in the world like Erling Haaland. But there's definitely a talent there with Moukoko, and a lot of people are looking at it. Now, the interesting thing is, and what Fabrizio is talking about there is, if Dortmund want to get him on a new contract, they need to get that new contract done by the end of this month, because as many of you will be aware from watching this channel for years and your own knowledge, if you're out of contract in the summer, you can speak to clubs outside of the league you play in the January. So Bayern are screwed for once. Bayern can't get him because Bayern can't speak to him till the summer. But Manchester United, Chelsea, Barcelona, PSG, they can all start talking to him in January because he's out of contract in the summer. So that is why Dortmund need to get him on a contract by the end of the month, because if they don't, on January the 1st, United could pick up the phone to his agent legitimately and say, we want you in the summer, this is the deal. So it's a possibility. I would look at it and go, I don't think that's the sort of striker that Erik ten Hag's looking for. I would look at it and go, Manchester United don't win those sort of battles. And I would look at it and go, he's probably going to sign a new contract at Dortmund because it's probably the best place for him to be. So Yes, Manchester United could move for him. I don't think Erik ten Hag is looking for an 18-year-old striker to solve his striker problems. I honestly don't. If he did become available for everyone to talk to in January, there'd be better negotiating clubs than us who'd spoke to him. We might offer him something, but Chelsea would do a better job, and maybe Barcelona and somebody else. So we wouldn't get him anyway. And thirdly, look at Jude Bellingham. Look at many other players. Dortmund is probably one of the best places to be in Europe if you want to develop. You will play Champions League football on the regular, and there's a clear, defined path for countless players that play for Dortmund and then go to a big club. So, I suppose the only thing is money. The money is the thing, and that's sad. But this is what I talk about when I talk about Man United being bought. People want to pretend we're living in a football world in the 80s where money wasn't as big as it is now. But the reason United need a rich owner is because look at a situation like Moukoko. And I'm not going to say this is going to happen, but he probably should sign a contract at Dortmund and stay there for another 3 years and develop. He is German. He's in the German national team. Dortmund's a good place to be. Unless you're going to go Bayern Munich, which, why would you do that yet? He's at the right place at the right time. But what if Dortmund offer him, I don't know, 50 grand a week? But then you've got Chelsea going, we'll give you 200 grand a week and a massive signing on fee. And then a player goes for money. And that's the problem, isn't it, with the modern game? The right place to be isn't always the most lucrative place to be. And maybe Moukoko, I don't know anything about the lad, but maybe him and his agents and everyone will go, now's the time to really cash in, which is sad at 18, because if you are as good as you think you are, you've got a big contract coming in 2 or 3 years anyway. But, who knows? But what I would say is, I think we'll sign Gakpo. Ginger Fury says, still think we'll sign Gakpo. Yes, I do. I think we'll end up getting Gakpo. But I don't think we've got a chance of going for Moukoko, because I just don't think we can compete for that sort of deal at the moment. And all of this can change when we get new ownership, if we get new ownership, but I don't see anything happening with that at the moment. Bundesliga tax, mate. Mkhitaryan, Sancho, Kagawa all flopped. What's to say Moukoko is different, says Ritvik. Yeah, and I just think apparently my mic is a little bit quiet. I've got no idea why that would be. So apologies for that, because everything is set up exactly as it always is, and I checked that at the start. So apologies if you've got a problem with that. United are good at offering lucrative wages, says Mulia. And Dortmund broke their promise to Moukoko by buying Haller and Modeste, says Chris. Yeah, and I don't know the politics of what's going. Thanks, everyone. They're saying there's not really a problem. Sometimes people can get different problems, and sometimes people are twats. Thoughts on Lamar going to Bayern, says Claude. Well, look, I want to go back to that Moukoko story, but on Lamar, he wanted to go to Bayern a year ago, and Leipzig wouldn't let it happen. So nothing to do with Man United. Can't stand how the Bundesliga works. Really can't stand it. You've got Bayern Munich, who've won the title for the last God knows how many years, and then they hoover up all the good players from the Bundesliga. And it's been going on for years. And I like Bayern Munich. I tipped Bayern Munich to win the Champions League. It might be a bit difficult with the injuries they've got now, but I like Bayern Munich, but I don't like the way the Bundesliga works. I mean, they've been doing this for years and years and years. Like, they literally hoover up all the good players in their own league, and then they wonder why the league isn't competitive. And there's so much support for the Bundesliga. The atmospheres at the grounds are fantastic. But this would be like Man City taking Mason Mount. This would be like Man City taking Salah. This would be like Man City taking Martinez. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But Lema wanted to go there. Rangnick did want Lema, and I think Lema's a good player, but he always wanted to go to Bayern. United didn't want to go for him after Rangnick went anyway. Stephen Rossi says, I think United with Ten Hag might be the right place for younger players to develop in the most competitive league in the world, says Stephen. Well, yeah, look, I don't know what the political situation is with Moukoko and Dortmund. If he's not happy or he doesn't want, doesn't feel he's been that well treated. But Romano says there is a good relationship with the club. So I think he'll ultimately sign a new deal, and even if he doesn't, I can't see United doing anything. Andreas says Moukoko is a great talent. I think he's still young to solve our striker problem, though. I think he needs a couple more years at Dortmund. And Moukoko's academy numbers are incredible, says Calvin. There's no doubt he's a fantastic player, and if we could get hold of him, I'd be very, very excited by it. Could he solve United problems straight away? Probably not. But then again, you look at it, and we did look at, what's his name? Brobby. Didn't Brobby go to Dortmund as well? Brobby, when he was coming back from Dortmund to Ajax, Ten Hag wanted him. So I wouldn't rule out the fact that we'd go for a young, prodigious, I can't get the word right, striker, but it probably isn't going to happen. Jude says, hi Mark, it's my birthday today. I've been with the United Stand family since 50k and now we're at 1.53 million. Happy birthday to me and keep up the good work. Yeah, Jude, you don't need to say happy birthday to yourself. We'll all do that for you. Happy birthday, Jude. And Mkhitaryan didn't flop, says Vummy. Mourinho happened, and no one can change Mourinho's mind when it's made up. So he swapped him for Alexis Sanchez. And he was at Leipzig, not Dortmund. Thank you, Shed Back. Thank you very much. Why haven't United stand? I don't know what he's talking about. And Leipzig, not Dortmund, says Jap. Yeah, thank you very much for that. And Japith, Johab, says Leipzig, not Dortmund. I think we should go for players like Moukoko, young, with potential huge upside. It'd be worth going for if it becomes available for free. But if you've tuned in a little bit late, there has been a significant update from the PSV Director of Football, which is Marcel Brands. And in a very concise update, what Brands has said is that they want a record transfer fee. Their record is currently 43 million for Lozano to Napoli. They're realistic. And that before he even came to the club, it was agreed between Gakpo and PSV that if the right offer came in and the player wanted to go, they'd let him go. So that's the situation. Basically, he's available for about 45 million quid and he can go in January if he wants to go. And he also came out with a brilliant line about, you know, Anthony being 85 million. And he said, well, that's not what market prices really are. That was a desperation move by United that forced that price up, which he's right about. But then again, maybe we could be desperate in January. Rashford and Anthony to come back firing. You heard it here first, says Kadam. Thank you very much. And who's going to get João Felix, says Mark Benson. Well, look, we're going to keep updating this every couple of days probably, but I feel like we need the hotometer back. You know, smash a like on the video if you remember the hotometer. Only goats remember that. So I used to have this was it top 5? No, me, it was probably more than that. And the hotometer was a mark out of 10, 10 being super hot, of who the top transfers were likely to be. And it was top 7, says Doobie Guy. Thank you very much. So yeah, and basically, if you were 7, if someone had a 7, it's 70% chance really. So on the hotometer at the moment, I would say that Cody Gakpo is up at around 7 out of 10, and would be the hottest of everybody. I feel João Felix is going a bit cold, and it is very cold in the UK at the moment, so maybe he is here. Bloody cold. But no, I think João Felix has probably gone from 5 out of 10, 50-50 to about 2. I think he's really dropping. There doesn't seem to be any follow-up from United from last summer. Jack, thanks for being a member for 6 months. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much of a follow-up for João Felix, so I don't think that we're going to do anything. But that can change very quickly. I say it's only the 13th of December. I don't think you should look at it like that. On one hand, it's only the 13th of December. On the other hand, even football agents and clubs shut down for Christmas, so that takes a week off, and then it's 10 days until the transfer window opens. So I would argue that how quiet it is on João Felix now probably means we're not going for him, because there's not that long until January the 1st. And remember, one of the most important things here, this is not about getting a player in at the end of January like we have done in the past with people like Bruno and Agallo. We need that striker in on the 1st. There's big games to be played in January, and then there's big games to be played in February. If we bought a striker in at the end of January, we've messed up all our fixtures in January, and then the new signings only got a week or two to acclimatise before the Barcelona game. So yes. This player needs to be coming in right at the start of January, and I just don't think United are doing enough around João Felix to do that. And Calvin says that Felix would limit Garnacho's chances anyway. I also think that the club that's probably most likely to get João Felix at the moment is potentially Arsenal, which is very interesting because I do think he'd do well in the Premier League, and I think he'd suit Arsenal as well. Dragon says number 7 for Sancho. I don't know that. Captain Cool, I've removed you from the chat because obviously you don't want to be here. But can I just explain to you what clickbait is? Clickbait is when you make something up. We do news shows, so that is why when I talk about news, I reference the source. So Fabrizio Romano has spoken about Moukoko and his availability, and English clubs being interested, and United want a striker. Marcel Brands is the director of football of PSV and opened his mouth talking about the price that Gakpo would be available for and how an agreement was already in place that he could go if the right offer came in and he wanted to go. That, my friend, is not clickbait. Clickbait is when you manipulate or lie to get people's attention and then the detail isn't there. And we always give the detail of where it's coming from. So a little bit of an education for you there. Anyway, so yeah, look, as I was saying, I think that with João Felix, probably not going to happen. Gakpo would be 7 out of 10 for me at the moment. I wouldn't rule out Memphis. I would love to. I would love to rule out Memphis, but I wouldn't rule that one out. As for Sancho getting the number 7 shirt, I can't be arsed with this. I can't. You know, it's all about opinion, and you can do that if you want. But what has Jadon Sancho done to deserve starting for Manchester United? Let alone our most iconic shirt. I mean, I want change at this football club, and I think Erik ten Hag is bringing about change. And I'm a big fan of Jadon Sancho, and I really want him to succeed. But we've got to stop rewarding people on the promise that they will do something good. It's a bit like giving Marcus Rashford 400 grand a week or 300 grand a week. Oh, we're going to give you this wage that hardly anybody else has got in the league because we think you might do well. What about players earning the right to do that? And look, Rashford, I like Rashford, but some of the contracts we've handed out, some of the rewards we've handed out, we need to stop being that club that rewards people based on promises. We need to reward people based on performance. If you're going to hand out the number 7 shirt for Manchester United, hand it out to somebody who bloody deserves it, not somebody you think might deserve it. If you're going to hand out 300 grand a week, hand it out to somebody who is consistently one of the best players in the league, not somebody who might be. And that is where this club needs to change. And that is why I want new ownership, because I think if you bring new ownership in with new ideas and new levels of standards, then I think we'll stop doing silly things like that. So I think that, you know, Jadon Sancho as a future number 7 for Manchester United could be, but I wouldn't give it him at the moment. He wouldn't even be in my top 5. If I had to give the number 7 shirt out right now, my top 3 candidates would be Bruno Fernandes, because, you know, you can have a number 7 that's not a striker or a winger. We had it with Brian Robson. So Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford for the similar reason. You know, I know he's got the 10, but he could have it. And third choice for number 7, I'd probably have a word with somebody like Alanga. No, I'm joking. I couldn't honestly give it to Jadon Sancho at the moment. I mean, Ten Hag might do it. He might do it as a confidence boost, but what if it doesn't work? You know, it's for some United fans like me, the number 7 shirt really matters, and it's not there to be filled by somebody who they might do well in it. It's an iconic shirt, and it should go to iconic players. Garnacho maybe in the future. Could give it to De Gea, says James. You could give it to De Gea. I doubt that would happen. I don't think it's ever been given to a defender, so I don't think that can happen either. But no, I wouldn't. And I've got no knowledge about where the number 7 shirt's going to go. It could go out. It could go to somebody like that, I guess. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I also wanted to talk about the goalkeeper situation. A few people have been talking about that. There was a tentative story I read today that United would still be interested in Costa despite his mistakes. Alan says, I think we should go get Gakpo and get him early in the window is what the manager seems to want most, and Sancho doesn't deserve the number 7 shirt. We need to focus on Jadon Sancho just becoming a Man United player. I think we all want that. I think he's a very talented player. There's absolutely no reason why he wouldn't suit a Ten Hag style of football. I look at Sancho and I think, all right, he's not quick, but he's a progressive possession-based player. And I think, you know, many people have said maybe he could move inside and be a 10 as well. I think he suits it. Where Sancho's gone wrong for me is the fact that he's it just lives in the memory, that game in Cyprus where he threw Malacia under the bus with that terrible pass, and then most of the team ran past Sancho to help Malacia out, and I'm like, that was your pass. Where's the energy? And I think Ten Hag will have seen that and gone, that can't happen in my team. That can't happen. And I think he probably got a bit of a telling off for that, and he needs to respond to that. I think he's got the talent. He just needs to get the stamina, and maybe didn't have the stamina. Maybe it's a fitness thing, but I think he can still be a good player. United can't repeat the same cycle of overplaying potential breakouts like Garnacho without good senior players around him to help his development, says Stephen. I agree with that. On the goalkeeper situation, there's no doubt that Costa's a fantastic goalkeeper for Portugal. I mean, there's no doubt that the mistake he made that kicked Portugal out of the tournament was fantastically bad. But on the goalkeeper situation, it seems at the moment that United are being linked to people that are probably going to come in and be competitive with De Gea, but De Gea will stay as the number one. I don't see United being linked to goalkeepers that are going to cost 60, 70 million and potentially take De Gea's place. And I think that's a headache that United don't really want, and I think ultimately Ten Hag will make the choice. Now, if you get a new owner, and a new owner says, we've got lots of money to spend, do you want a top-class keeper? Maybe Ten Hag changes his mind, but if he's operating under a transfer market where he's got other priorities, I think he's more than happy with De Gea at the moment. And I'm obviously a fan of De Gea, so I don't want him to go anyway. But I think right now, your priorities have got to be striker, right-back, midfielder, centre-back. And the quality we're looking for, that's going to cost you in excess of 200 million. So I don't see United looking for a goalkeeper. As Brian says, David De Gea is generally very reliable as well. I don't think he needs replacing. I think we need another goalkeeper. Dubravka's not our player, and Tom Heaton's probably not quite the level you need. So we do need a goalkeeper, and I'm sure we'll bring one in. But I think it will be somebody more like Romero was. I think that's what we need for the next few years. Somebody that can come in and play well, but ultimately doesn't cost loads and loads of money and is there to replace De Gea. And also, you say replace De Gea, but he's on 350 grand a week for the next 18 months. It's not like we're going to pay his contract off. So what we're going to do? Sit him on the bench? No one's going to buy him on that wage and give us money. So I don't feel that De Gea is going to go anywhere, and I do suspect that we'll give him a new contract, especially if he's going to reduce his wage demands, which is very responsible, but also shows that he wants to stay at the club. And as Lee says, David De Gea has impressed me in the Eric Ten Hag system. The improvement of David De Gea this season has been fantastic, by the way. For all the criticism he got last year, I stood by him. I still think he had a good year last year. But he can't do this, he can't do that, and then he's done it this year. He can't pass out from the back, and he's done it. He can't come for crosses and stuff, and he's done it. So I think like Deleuze, like Rashford, and De Gea, 3 different areas of the pitch, 3 major improvements because they're actually getting coached now. And we said this. There's not been proper coaching at that club for 6 years. Mourinho wasn't somebody who coached somebody for the future. He wanted them to perform for the now. And Ollie didn't know how to do it, and now we've got a manager who does. So there you go. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. It was meant to just be a very, very quick update, a significant update as well from Gakpo, the Gakpo story. Interesting chat about Moukoko as well. And Marcel Brands is a former PSV player, says Anna B. Thank you. Main goalkeeper target, Ben Foster or Cal the Dragon, says Frostbite. It's a tough one. Liam Parker, who's one of the members, says Twitch today, Mark. If you want to be one of the members, by the way, and get a badge next to your name like Liam and Hale and Frostbite, then click the join button. We've got some exclusive extra content for you. We've got another one coming up for you tomorrow as well. It's Goldbridge and the quiz, so check that one out. And we've got our Christmas quiz next week as well, which is on the members section as well. So thanks for supporting the channel. I am on Twitch in about 25 minutes, 3 o'clock. FIFA's back after ages. I can't wait to get playing. If you want to join me on Twitch, I pinned the link on the live chat. Just click it and give me a follow, and then when it goes live, you'll get your notification or be there at 3 o'clock. Goalbridge TV on Twitch. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget the World Cup's back tonight as well. 7 o'clock on That's Football. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you all in a bit.